You may remember the case of the Missouri teenager who was shot for going to the wrong home in order to pick up his siblings that were attending an event. In an exclusive interview with Good Morning America anchor Robin Roberts, Ralph Yarl described what happened the day that he was shot in the head for mistakenly going to the wrong house to pick up his siblings.
To the driveway, I walk up the steps, I ring the doorbell. I see 3 different cameras, like one looking at the driveway, one on the porch. As far as I know, I didn't know their family at all. Like, I had never even seen their friends or their parents before, so maybe this is their house. I'm just on the porch. So then I hear the door open. I see this old man, and I'm assuming, oh, this must be like their grandpa. And then he pulls out his gun, and I'm like, whoa. So I like back up. He points it at me. So I kind of like brace and I turn my head. Before that, I'm thinking, there's no way he's actually gonna shoot, right? The door is even open. He's gonna shoot through his glass door and glass is gonna get everywhere. Then it happened. And then I'm on the ground. I fall on the glass, the shattered glass. And then before I know it, I'm running away, shouting, help me, help me. I was bleeding from my head. I was like, how is this possible? Like, I've been shot in the head.
Had you ever seen that man before?
Never.
Were there any words that were exchanged before he shot you?
He only said 5 words. Don't come here ever again. There are a lot of things that are going on inside my head that aren't normal. I've been having headaches, trouble with sleep, and sometimes my mind is just foggy. Like, I can't concentrate on the things that would be easy for me to do.
You're looking at a kid that took the SAT when he was in the 8th grade. And now his brain is slowed. So physically he looks fine, but there is a lot that has been taken from him.
What do you want people to know about you, Ralph?
I'm just a kid, not larger than life, because this happens to me. I'm just gonna keep doing all the stuff that makes me happy and just living my life the best I can.
What is justice to you in this case?
Justice is just the rule of the law, regardless of race, ethnicity, and age. He should be convicted for the crimes that he made. I am past having any personal hatred for him. He should suffer repercussions because that is what our society is made of. Trust in each other and reassurance that we can coexist together in harmony.
Andrew Lester is charged with 1 count of felony assault in the first degree and 1 count of armed criminal action. Lester pled not guilty and was released on April 18th on a $200,000 bond. You don't have to have $200,000 for a $200,000 bond. You need 10% of that. Or if you don't have a criminal record, you can usually get a signature bond in many cases that will allow you to go home. His preliminary hearing is scheduled for August the 31st. I want to bring the panel in on this. Randy, what do you think it says that this young man who has gone through this tragic activity still has faith in our system to get things right? And then you hear someone like Donald Trump, when he gets in trouble, he says, the whole system's rigged. Everybody's against me. This is a witch hunt. What does it say to me, the maturity and the poise of this young man and this family in this tragic situation?
He has a better brain and a better heart than Trump, obviously. His parents should be just so incredibly proud of this young man. I every time I see him, it just breaks my heart that he was trying to do what any of us would ask our children to do, to go and pick up their siblings, and that he almost died. And that, but, you know, and this is a kid who's a good kid. You know, I believe as Black Americans, we try to educate our children and try to make it where they're almost perfect, so this will not happen to them. And here you have a child who is playing multiple instruments, who is in honors classes, who is just doing everything right. And still, because of racism, clearly racism, because of just this anger this man had against us, he was shot. And so it's just heartbreaking. But it should speak to America. How dare someone suggest that we don't still face racism in this country every single day? And it's not just the damage that's done to him, but the damage that's done to all of us parents out here, not just parents, aunts, uncles. I mean, those are our children. And what can we do if we can't even get them to go in our own neighborhoods to pick up our siblings?
Mustafa, right after Trayvon Martin died, with my law firm, we started doing a lot of those seminars where we taught to young black boys, how to respond to police officers, how to interact with them, pull your pants up, to take the headphones out, say yes, sir, no, sir, be cooperative, don't be argumentative, and those sorts of things. And then Tamir Rice happened, and I stopped doing them. The reason being that we should not have to change who we are to make someone else see our humanity. The onus should not be on us to fit this Leave It to Beaver perfect version of the upstanding Negro in order to receive justice in this country, or even just basic human and civil rights. The onus should be on the society to change, to see the humanity in all of us, not this idea that if you speak a certain way, walk a certain way, talk a certain way, etc., that somehow you have a lesser level of rights in America. What do you think has to happen in order for people like Mr. Lester to understand and see the humanity in young black men, not simply this caricature presented to them by Fox News and conservative media?
To be quite honest, I think there are some people who will never see us as human. They will always see us as less than human. They will see our children as not children, but sometimes as adults. They will continue to see black and brown folks as a threat. And when that is the case, then we're dealing with this very, very difficult situation. But with that being said, through continued education and making sure that folks like DeSantis and Abbott and others who don't want our story out there of how amazing folks are in our community and have continued to be, will play a critical role in helping folks to rehumanize, if you will. We also got to make sure that when folks do these types of injustices, that they are held to the full letter of the law. And yes, folks will say, well, the gentleman is 84 years old. Well, we've seen often folks who come from our communities who may be in their 70s or 80s who get convicted and are sent to jail. So there has to be accountability. And I appreciate the young brother Ralph Yarl talking about accountability and making sure that there is equalness in that accountability for everyone who's inside of our country, but also that we should find a way to live in harmony with each other. And if we can't find a way to live in harmony, at least being able to respect each other.
Absolutely. And Joe, you get the legal question on this one, because often in these cases, it's a officer involved shooting. So there's civil justice from the city and settlements, etc. But this is just an individual person who violated civil rights of Mr. Yarl in this case. What other remedies may be available to him and his family, particularly given the lifelong trauma and potential injury that he has suffered, even if it's just psychological? This will affect him for the rest of his life.
Practically speaking, you need a pocket, right? And so, Gwen Guthrie said there's no romance without finance. So if something had happened where the police are potentially involved, where it happened, where a public entity can be looped in, you're suing the public entity. In this particular case, you're suing the individual. If the individual is a homeowner, you're probably coming after his homeowner's policy, but what has to happen is that has to be considered, and maybe the charging, I forget what they're charging them with, the charging helps with that, helps or hurts, because when something is considered intentional conduct, a carrier may not want to deal with it. But if it's a negligent situation, then perhaps they can hit that particular policy and get a recovery that way. But the only defendant would probably be the individual himself. And therefore, if he's a homeowner, then maybe something can happen. If he's got some money somewhere, maybe something can happen. But at his age, if he's got things in wills and trusts, et cetera, and therefore he was potentially judgment proof without something that allows him to connect to a policy that he has, then he would be out of luck in terms of collectability.
I think that's a really important point, because at the end of the day, you can sue somebody and be awarded a judgment for $1 million, billion, trillion, quadrillion dollars. If they ain't got it, they ain't got it. And so, as you said, often we see people try to move assets to relatives in cases like this, give the house away to his daughter or some other relative, sign over his pension, those sorts of things, so that there'll be nothing that can come along. So I'm hoping that the Yarl family is getting the proper legal counsel necessary to help protect them and potentially salvage any sorts of settlements that can take place. Randy, just back to you quickly. When we talk about this young man and we talk about this situation as tragic as this, and we saw throughout this spring over and over again, a cheerleader shot for pulling on the wrong car door, a woman turned around to somebody's yard and they started shooting at them. What policy-wise can be done so that maybe a 84-year-old man who maybe doesn't have it all together mentally, who probably doesn't even have car keys now, can still have a gun? What can we do legislatively to help curtail these issues?
Gun control. I mean, we need to do gun control, and not where everybody can have a gun regardless of age, mental health, and they can go anywhere they want to go. I mean, I know in my family, once people are reaching a certain age, we start to get them tested and have sometimes to take their ability to drive away because they're not making good decisions. But the fact that he can still have a gun is sad. And I know people, get really uncomfortable about having these guns. But if that man had not had a gun, Ralph would not be shot. And gun control. And wouldn't it be interesting when we do these mental checks on people if we did some of those racist bias tests that they do on police officers? That'd be quite profound to me. I know I can't imagine anybody would ever allow that to happen, but that there are gun-toting. I believe this man was an open racist. It's terrifying already for us to live as Black Americans in America, and it has become increasingly so lately.
You're absolutely correct, and I'm hoping that maybe at least we can get red flag laws on the books so crazy people don't have guns. That just seems to be reasonable. I'm a pro-gun person. I'm a big fan of guns. I got a bunch of guns in this room right now. But maybe crazy people shouldn't be allowed to have them. If you're too old to drive a car, maybe they should take your gun away. Just putting that out there.